I need to add us in. Oh man, I'm rusty as all get out.
Under pressure. I'm in studio. You're under
Ben's
pressure.
shaking his head. Oh man. Let me try again. Hello and welcome. We are the Aussie guys in studio. Looking cash.
Mate, I haven't been here for a while because of COVID.
Yep.
Mate, there is more stuff in here every time I come back.
Yeah.
And what's with this big chemistry set you've sort of got just out of view? Are you
what?
The big all the chemistry stuff, like the
what
beakers
chemistry?
and
who knows?
What are you doing, Dan? What have you been doing?
Have you ever seen Breaking Bad, G?
No, I haven't, but I'm guessing this is what it looks like.
I think so. And it's just, look, times of COVID, it's been, there's pallets of toilet paper. There's big buckets. You can see there, big buckets of rice and grains so that we can survive the
a lot of
apocalypse.
Bunsen burners.
Yeah. Well, we have like a generator. No, we don't have a generator. A small arsenal. Yeah, not quite.
Something I have noticed though. I'm just going to go across over here.
Oh,
grab.
Oh, is this like a live comedy show? He's going to move up and down the stage.
Maybe it is. What are you getting?
The dark days of AJ.
Oh man.
Oh.
A Raiders cap, and it's not a bobblehead. What do they call these little things?
It's a pop Funko.
Yeah.
Well, there's my Junior Seau one.
Derek Carr.
There's a Derek Carr one. I mean, the Raiders are just quietly doing very nicely. G.
Not too bad at all. Derek Carr has been
okay.
Mate, he's
don't get too enthusiastic about it.
Did he throw his first interception in the last week or so, or something like that? Is that correct?
That I'm not sure about. I don't think you should get too enthusiastic. I think he's been okay. I don't think he's been amazing.
He fumbled 3 times last week. So there you go.
That has been a little bit of a problem of his. I think the interceptions are maybe 1, but he fumbled. He's just taken over by the amount of fumbles. It's just, if you go and watch, it's not as though he doesn't do anything different from any other quarterback in the way that they handle the football, but it's just the fact that he seems to have less awareness of the people around him. He seems at times not to have the feel of someone encroaching on his personal space. And they don't encroach with just a tiptoe. They encroach at 60 miles an hour. But yeah.
Speaking of personal space, G, is this a 1.5 meter separation here?
It is 1.5.
Yeah.
No, it's just that this is far more comfortable than sitting at the desk type chair that AJ's got sitting over there. This is he's better.
I realise we've got a bit of a Days of Our Lives thing going on here. Like, gee, it was your baby, and I'm meant to look at the camera, and you're behind me. It's a bit of the Days of Our Lives shot, but it's just because I can't work the computer if I'm not sitting in front of it. But because we've had all this time in ISO, I haven't had to worry about the setup, and it's something which we'll work on.
Oh, this is fine. I'm happy.
I know you're happy, but I mean, I'd prefer to have. I did talk to you about before all of this stuff happened, getting like an actual headset with a mic, a mic that just is off the headset, so we can both sit on the couch.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is in the plans.
I get to walk around, so we have to make a bigger studio. So it's like ESPN or the NFL studio where we have the fake grass on the ground and the lines, and we can walk around. We've got big screens everywhere. We can point to stuff and touch the screen and
we
move
can
things
stand
around.
Awkwardly. Yeah.
That's what we're going to get into.
I do feel like I'm, a center or a guard. Like, I've got AJ in my face, ready to, rush the passer, and then I've got, Dion Jones in the back there, just looking for a gap, to come through.
Yeah. To bring the hammer.
Now, G, drinks of the pod.
Drinks of the pod. What have we got?
They're right here, so I can show them. So we've got the Kraken. I have to read it. The Kraken
spiced rum.
Oh, the Kraken black spiced rum and dry. There's that one. So I already tweeted that out.
What can
I presume that's yours, right?
That is mine. Yes, I'm not a beer drinker.
No.
Okay.
And you know what? Unfortunately,
You're drinking wine.
I was saying
It's very cultured. Well, not that cultured.
well, this is my first drink of the pod. Sorry, I've started early, which was the Butterfly Effect Shiraz. And but I will go to a more civilized road of the Urban Alley Brewery, a crisp blonde ale, which is about my speed, actually. Gee, well done.
I actually there's one in there, and it was I'm trying to remember the name of it though, but it was relevant to what's going on. Something, and it had the goat, and I thought, well, yeah, the way Herbert's playing at the moment, he's playing like the greatest of all time, isn't he?
You're no kidding,
but, mate. The thing was like $8.90 for a can, so screw that. AJ's not worth $8.90 on a can of beer.
$8.90 for a can of beer is a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Gee, don't fool us. You went straight to that bargain bucket in the corner. Let's not kid ourselves here, mate.
Mate, that's where you do your best shopping.
Now I'm going to go to NFL news because, as I said to G, I'm bringing precious little more than this to the table tonight, sadly. So I hope you're ready, Ben. It's been a rough.
I even cut down the amount that we had to do based on the fact
know.
that 3 of us would be doing it.
Yeah, it's been a rough day in the family, let us say. So I've not to do with me particularly. I haven't been kicked out of the house or anything. Just yeah.
But this is what happens when you leave your homework till the very last minute.
Yes, that is very true. In NFL news, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell conditionally reinstated Josh Gordon on Thursday. The receiver will be eligible to return for the final 2 games of the 2020 season. Do we care? Probably not.
Well, I picked him up in the Scott Fish Bowl.
Did you really?
Ages ago. I've just been sitting there on my and now I don't think I'm in the playoffs. I think I'm.
Oh, really?
8 and 5. I don't think that get me in.
Are you in Scott Fish, Ben?
I'm not. I'm in the satellite conference, and I'm second. I'm second in my conference league, actually. About
that's pretty good.
20 points behind the leader, so I've got a bit of a chance. I've just got Austin Eckler back as well, so that'll help.
And didn't he hit the ground running? I mean, no pun intended. I mean, he put up a nice little fantasy total this week. It was very, very nice. It's funny saying this week because this week was so protracted with the Wednesday game. Very, very strange.
They could have done without it, actually. Couldn't they?
It was such a drag.
No, it was that bad. I just put in the end. I just turned on the 6.5 minutes of highlights and thought, no, I'm just going to sit there and watch this because I can't sit through.
It really was honestly awful.
Even 43 minutes of condensed version. I can't watch this. So
in our Rockulution League, I started RG3, guys.
That would have done well.
And
he scored more than I started Derek Carr this week.
In the first quarter, I looked at the score and he was on about minus 6.5 or something. And I thought, man, I'll settle for 0 at this rate. I'll settle for a 0. Oh, that was brutal.
I got a 0. I think I got 0.4. And talking about points,
yeah.
I don't know how the Scott Fish Bowl, how I find out if I've made the playoffs or not.
Oh,
you have to show me.
You would have got an email.
Oh, would I?
Yes.
I didn't get an email. Okay. But I would have made it, I think, with 9 and 4.
Are you 9 and 4?
No, I would have been.
Oh.
But for the fact that Chubb decided to step out 1 minute before, and I lost that week by 0.9.
Oh no, that's awful.
Yeah,
that's awful.
So look, I appreciate the fact that I wasn't too upset because he did the right thing by his football team. So you know, not the right thing by me, but
no,
he's not playing for me.
The Bengals announced that Joe Burrow has undergone successful surgery on Wednesday. That's 10 days after tearing his ACL and MCL in his left knee. The procedure went as planned, and he's expected to make a complete recovery, which is fantastic news. He'll begin the recovery process, and Cincinnati saying they look forward to his return. No kidding. Cincinnati's anticipating Burrow will need 8 to 9 months of recovery. It puts a bit of a dampener on next season, I would think, at this rate because, I mean, it's early December. 8 to 9 months means, is he going to be right for the start of next season? Probably not. I would say it'd be a stretch.
Mate, they just had, you watch that game, and when it happened, you could feel the heart just get ripped out of the Bengals. And mate, and to be honest, I can't remember who tackled him, but he was sitting on the ground next to him, like he's still on the ground sitting, and he looked across, and even his body language, believe it or not, he looked so disappointed in the fact that Joe Burrow was. You could tell that, you know, these guys know when someone's done a serious injury.
Yep.
And even he was like, not devastated, but his body language was like, yeah. I think even other players respect the fact of what a young guy does when he comes in and what he does to a franchise because they had it as well. So, you know, but
I mean, he looks good. He looks good. Doesn't look as good as Herbert. He looks good though. Man, he looks good.
Yeah.
I think you'd have to be very happy if you're well, no, you wouldn't. You probably wouldn't be happy. In the long run, you're happy if you're a Bengals fan because I think you've got your quarterback of the future. I think that's pretty evident. It's just heartbreaking. Fantasy-wise, would you trade for Burrow? Is that a move you could do? Maybe if you could take advantage of an owner that is maybe in contention for the fantasy playoffs. They've lost Burrow. If you're not contending, you might be able to pick him up cheap.
That's not the only thing I watched either, Ganley. Before I came in here.
Too much information. Good hygiene. But yeah.
Well, how did it go with Dak?
Is that a move you'd make?
Like to go and grab him?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd go and inquire, wouldn't you?
What do you think it would cost? Like if you could give
Man, I'm terrible with value.
You are terrible with value. Everybody's agreeing.
Mate, I always want to win.
What about an early first? Do you think an early first could do it?
Well, I mean, he was probably taken there, right? Like this year.
101, probably.
Yeah. So, you know, I think that given what you've seen, that has added value because, you know, you can't sort of say, oh, well, you know, he's out for next year because people now recover from ACLs, you know, within 9 months. So I reckon maybe you would be talking about multiple picks, maybe multiple first round picks, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of it's always easier to trade for a guy just as he's gone out with an ACL, isn't it? I mean, like when you're sort of looking down the barrel of close to 12 months that you're not going to have him. And if you can offer, you know, like a middling quarterback to a contender and a pick or something.
Well, I didn't get any offers. I have Dak in 2 or 3 leagues, and I didn't get an offer at all for Dak.
But it's a different time, right? It's a different time now. Like people are probably like, I'm either going to make the playoffs this week or not.
True.
Right.
You know, do I want to go win it this year? Yes. Okay. You know, I'll maybe give away Burrow and get somebody. Yeah. That's what I would say.
Yeah, and if you look at the quarterbacks that are coming out, I was speaking to our friend Memphis at the Dynasty Warzone this week. He gave me a call just to see what I was up to.
Very nice.
And we're just talking about the rookies coming out. And he read, there's a website that puts it all together for you and where they're going to go. And each week it changes over like who has what pick.
Oh, yeah.
And he was saying that they're looking at like, is it 6 quarterbacks in the top 40?
Oh, they're projecting.
Yeah.
Ooh, wow.
So there's another factor, you know. But I'm always more of the, you know, a bird in the hand, you know. Because I'm not a big 70s fan, so I'm not into the Bush thing. So.
Well, the interesting thing, I think, you know, about Burrow was everybody assumed he was going into an offense that was pretty bad, which probably wasn't the case. Like, you know, like he was going to a team that was bad, yes, but not an offense, particularly because T. Higgins was a hit and Tyler Boyd's a good receiver and Joe Mixon's a good running back. So they've actually, he's got it together pretty quickly. Let's compare Trevor Lawrence to that, who will likely be the 101 in the majority of leagues, I imagine, next year. He's going to go to the Jets. I mean, are we confident about that in terms of a fantasy production?
I think no, not at all. I think we're fairly confident that's going to probably happen. Does that sort of take the shine off Trevor Lawrence? Yes. Like, as a fantasy person, and obviously there's a lot less stakes for us in the fantasy world compared to the real NFL world. Imagine Trevor Lawrence thinking, oh, damn it, I'm going to the bloody Jets. It's not the most appealing prospect, is it?
Well, we were concerned about Joe Burrow ending up at Cincinnati for the simple factor that the
O-line.
Not so much the receivers.
Yeah, true.
And
I mean, look,
which has killed him, right?
Yes. Yeah, well, look how that turned out.
Yeah, but then again, you could say that about everybody gets, no matter how good your offensive line is, you get sacked.
Oh, sure.
Do you know what I mean? So, and every time you get sacked, actually probably less these days because of the fact that you can't even touch a quarterback these days, which is the biggest load of crap I've ever seen. The amount of roughing the passer bullshit calls that I've seen this year. These are men playing against grown men. You know what you're in for when you're out there, and they're getting treated like, princesses, No, they seriously are.
Yeah.
It is interesting though, G, like, from my point of view, you look at someone like Kirk Cousins, and he's kind of stopped.
Take us on to get onto the Vikings talk, but there you go.
Yeah. He's stopped trying to throw the ball when he knows he's going to be sacked. He just kind of covers the ball and falls down.
It was a bad habit of his. Yeah.
But is it AJ? Because both, like Burrow, if you look at the actual, sack, which he's trying to stay up and he's trying to throw the ball when, he's been sacked from two angles and it's, within his 5-yard line. Like, that's a bad decision from the quarterback. He just needs to cover himself, take the sack, and move on. And I think that's a bigger issue, is that probably the quarterbacks going from college, right, to the NFL, they're still trying to do too much. They're still trying to keep the play going. Whereas really, I think quarterbacks just need to take a sack now and again.
But look, to be honest, I'm surprised like everybody talks about how many injuries. I'm surprised there's not like broken hands every week. Like you're playing with gloves on and guys are smacking into you with rock hard helmets. How do you not break more hands? Like, I don't understand that. I don't know how more knees don't get done.
Dislocate fingers.
It's beyond me how it doesn't happen. Like, more people doing knees and ankles and getting tackled by 3 guys in 3 different directions, and you're trying to stand up, and the amount of hits and how hard they hit and the things that go on, you just have to hear more so now without the crowd. You can really hear the hitting of helmets and pads and a truer sound. Mate, it's always fascinating, especially the hands. I've always been fascinated how people don't break more fingers and metatarsals in their hands.
Ooh, that was a big word,
I know.
Metatarsals.
I've been studying that. And as for, we got Matt's asking Josh Allen for Burrow. So I take it. If I'm a contender, do I do that?
What, trade Burrow for Allen?
Hell yeah.
Is that what that means? Yeah, you'd do that.
I'd do that.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, we alluded to the fact that this was a very, very long week, and the wait was not worth it because that game was absolute trash. But what we did see is obviously the Steelers' 19-14 win over the Ravens with RG3 under center, and they are now 11-0 for the first time in Steelers history. 11-0. They did come out of it, however, slightly worse for wear, with Bud Dupree being confirmed for a torn ACL in his left knee. their outside linebacker. So, but 11-0 for the Steelers.
Not a bad start.
Yeah.
Not a bad start.
Probably helps you
Yeah.
with a home field advantage.
That's an.
Hey, with your crowd in Pittsburgh going off.
Do they have a crowd?
I think it was in one of our chats, and I don't think I'd seen a game start this way for quite a while. Like there was, I think, a game last week that was, a fair few turnovers in the first quarter. But so the game started off.
When I turned off, Ben.
Yeah.
There's a game that I watched this week, and an earlier game, and I started watching it. I just turned it off.
It was Seahawks Cardinals, I think, the other week was 4 turnovers in the first quarter or something, or 4 interceptions. This game started punt, three and out, punt, 3 and out, fumble for Ravens, interception for Big Ben threw an interception. 3 plays later, interception, RG3 throws an interception, then 3 and out, and then Gus and that last 3 and out, they punt, and Ray McLeod basically fumbles the ball, and it's recovered at the Pittsburgh 16, and then the touchdown is running by Edwards, and that started at the Pittsburgh 16, and took 7 plays to actually score the touchdown. So, you've got a pick 6 in there, and you've got a touchdown, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 turnovers, and that's the first 6 drives of the game, which was just phenomenal, really. If you had both defenses in fantasy or DFS or whatever, you're laughing, but I don't think I've seen that before.
I find it shocking, the professional decline of RG3.
Yeah.
And that whole story, I think, is a cautionary tale. When we're talking about, how amazing, say, Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow looks, you've always got in the back of your mind the story of RG3, who came out of the blocks. Well, he was Rookie of the Year, was he not? He was a Heisman winner.
Yeah.
Rookie of the Year, I believe, that year. Obviously, the devastating injury to his knee.
Yes.
And then it was
only half torn. They said, let's put him back on.
Yeah,
Shanahan,
we can blame it on Shanahan, but that whole thing. I mean, the decline of RG3 has been absolutely monumental. He just fell off the
not just
the cliff.
That game that happened. Excuse me. That game that happened to the state of the ground at that time of the year was the shambles as well.
Yeah, it was absolutely awful. Now you guys obviously are well aware of Kendall Hinton. He was the quarterback for the Broncos this week.
Oh, that was a game I turned off. That was the one I turned off.
If you started any Broncos players for fantasy, then you were probably stupid or had no choice, I guess. So obviously, Jeff Driscoll tested positive for COVID. Close contacts, all that quarterback room. There's talk of in Buffalo. Now, who's their rookie? Is it Jake Fromm? It might be Jake Fromm in Buffalo, and he's in a separate room. They keep their quarterback room separated for just this very issue, but John Elway's not the smartest general manager in the room.
Mate, wouldn't you partition off the whole room with perspex, and so everybody's in the same room with clear perspex talking, and you're all separate?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. So it knocked out Drew Lock, Brett Ripien, and Blake Bortles. So Kendall Hinton, a practice squad wide receiver, was elevated to play quarterback. The result was a 31-3 loss to the Saints. He completed 1 of 9 passes. He was lucky to get one, wasn't he?
If you watched him, mate, I'm surprised. I turned it off before he completed that one because, mate, he wasn't even close, and there was absolutely nothing on any of them.
No, and Andrew, you've hit the mark. Yes, 13 yards. His only reception was to Noah Fant. So you weren't happy if you started Noah Fant, but he did get 100% of the receiving yards.
Yeah, but if you started any Broncos players, like I have,
You may have had no choice.
sometimes you don't.
No.
I didn't start Melvin Gordon. I dropped him. It's just the fact, why would you even play? Like, okay, running backs are still going to touch the ball. Yeah, but mate, don't worry about 8-man boxes. You've got the whole 11.
Yeah,
sitting in there. They're not worried about the receiver.
Now I've got a little quiz for you gents and anyone else who wants to join in, who's listening. Notable emergency quarterbacks around the league, and I'm not talking about backup quarterbacks or anyone in the quarterback room. I'm talking about the Kendall Hintons of other teams. So who's the emergency quarterback for? And I went through every team, right?
I wouldn't even know who the backup quarterbacks are for teams. And now you're asking me for the emergency.
Yeah. Now I've only picked out the ones that you'll know, right?
Okay.
So who's the emergency quarterback for the Patriots? Anyone?
Is it Julian Edelman?
Yes, 1 point to Ben. It is Julian Edelman. He used to be a quarterback in his days at Kent State. And in actual fact, in his NFL career, he has a perfect passer rating, 158.3. I don't know. He's probably thrown like 3 passes.
That'd get you to Canton, wouldn't it?
Now, Dave, I know you're listening. The emergency quarterback for the Browns, Dave. Do you know who it is or anyone? Emergency quarterback for the Browns. Yeah.
And he's on the
yes, and you know him.
And he's offense. He's on the offense.
It's Jarvis Landry.
Oh, Ben is 2 for 2. It is Jarvis
Mate,
Landry.
He's got a computer in front of him.
Oh, it is. It's Jarvis Landry.
I've got a notepad and a pen. Can't look anything up on that.
Landry actually has 2 completions this season, including a 37-yard touchdown strike to OBJ. Yeah, Dave got it like 5 minutes too late. There you go. The Jags, emergency quarterback for the Jags. It might be an idea to play him instead of your actual quarterback.
Actually, Glennon wasn't that bad.
No.
He was mate, he's not good, but he wasn't. It wasn't horrific.
Yep.
I want to say it's like Leonard Fournette or someone like really weird.
No, but he doesn't play for the Jags, so that would be really weird.
Oh,
for sure.
sorry, yeah.
It'd be Keelan Cole.
I'll give you a hint. It's a rookie. It's actually a rookie. Yeah.
Not Laviska Shenault.
It is Laviska Shenault. Gee, 1 point.
Coming back.
What about emergency quarterback for the Texans?
Ooh. For the Texans.
Yeah, Dave said it was Joe Schobert. Linebackers can't throw the ball, Dave. Sorry.
The reason they're a linebacker, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, for the Texans.
Sharks that wasn't a bad. Yeah, but it was Visca. Yeah, Texans.
Emergency for the Texans.
I'll give you a hint. It's a wide receiver. They don't have too many left on their roster. And it's not Stills. No, Stills is a free agent. He applied for Donut King during the week.
I think isn't he on
Randall
IR?
Cobb.
Oh, gee, got it. Sorry, Ben. I don't know if you were going in that direction. Yeah, it's Randall Cobb. He actually started 4 games at quarterback in his freshman season at Kentucky, and he's a lefty too, G.
Yeah, so Ben's starting to fold now. He got an early lead.
Turn my computer off.
Yeah, that's right. There you go, Matt. Cobb. What about the Chiefs? Emergency.
The tight end.
Oh, I don't know if they've got a well-known tight end, do they?
Yeah.
Do they?
The Chiefs.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, I'm getting confused with the Redskins. The whole Indian thing.
Yep.
At the Chiefs, who's good at the Chiefs throwing the football?
Is it Mecole Hardman?
No, it's not. No.
Tends to be a wide receiver.
Tyreek Hill.
It's not Tyreek Hill.
Okay.
No.
He could throw it and catch it himself.
Yeah, he probably could throw it up. If he throws it
If
up
he-
with a
oh,
big arc, he can
mate.
easily.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
Is it Tyrion Matthew?
It's not Hill Ganley. Sorry, no, it's
I
not.
went with
No,
Hill.
it's actually. Well, I thought you were going the right direction. Gee, it's Travis Kelce.
Hmm.
It's the emergency
Oh, really?
tight end. Yeah, he played some quarterback at college in Cincinnati.
Okay.
What about the Chargers?
Um,
Keenan Allen.
It's not Keenan Allen. No,
I'm just going with wide receivers.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not a wide receiver.
Okay. Not a wide receiver.
No,
is it Hunter Henry?
no, it's not Hunter Henry. No.
Is it on the offense?
Yeah, on the offense. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not a wide receiver.
No.
Right.
Phillip Rivers. Dave, let's update you on the roster.
Um,
I'm guessing it might be. Is it?
is it Eckler?
who's the-
It is Eckler. Were you going to say that? Were you
Woo!
going to say that, Ben? Were you going to say Eckler?
I've
Yeah.
started to look behind and you're behind me now, Ben.
Gee, you're in front now. It is Eckler.
Yeah, cats.
Okay, what about the? Oh, this is my last
The
one.
last
anyway.
one. This
This is the last one. Ben, you need this one to tie, I believe. Rams.
Josh Reynolds.
No,
Robert Woods.
no,
Oh,
not Robert Woods. There's actually two options.
They got two.
Yeah. They've got two apparently. There's one who I think is probably the main one, and then there's another one who's if they were in real dire straits.
Real dice straight.
Oh.
But they're both offensive players.
so
Ooh.
who's the tight end there? Gerald Everett.
No, it's not Gerald Everett. No.
I'm out of guesses. I don't know.
Hold on. Cooper Cup.
Yeah, Matt got it as well.
Mate, it's not.
and
It's not like I knew. It's like we've been through like the whole offense.
Yeah, I know.
So, besides, the line.
Cooper Cup. He filled in briefly at quarterback in high school, and he is technically the emergency quarterback according to Sean McVay. Sean McVay also added that Cam Akers.
He's got good size to be a quarterback.
Yeah, Cam Akers apparently played quarterback in high school, so Cam Akers is another option if they went.
Mate, he'd be
down
like
that far.
He'd be like Kyler Murray trying to throw over the offensive, mate, which really got shown up on the weekend too against the
Did it?
Patriots.
Yeah.
Trying to if he couldn't throw it over the top, he was trying to throw it through, and they were just I don't know, they're a bit more about it. The Patriots, they do a lot more homework on it. And, I think he got found out, especially when he couldn't run.
Yes.
He wasn't. They really bottled him up, and if he can't get out of the pocket and he can't run, I think his limitations are showing a little bit.
Yes. Yeah.
And we've seen what this year with Lamar Jackson, haven't we? With the fact that where he's dropped from last year to this year.
Defenses have worked him out
Yeah.
by the looks.
I think he's what is he this year? About number 12 QB this year, somewhere around.
Yeah,
there?
which is, to be fair, it's fine, but not if you're paid like 101 or
it's not
close to it.
And in fact, he's not. He's throwing the football hasn't improved at all.
No. I see it as just a small trough in the journey.
Do
I
you?
don't see it as like a.
Do you want to trade for him?
The price better be a bit
If you
lower.
believe that,
I do believe that.
okay.
Do you think, given the quarterback position, generally a lot of teams only carry two, right? And not many teams carry three, so not many people. If what happened to the Broncos last week happened to the Ravens, would that game have been played at all, do you think, this week?
Ooh.
Because that's two teams that are fighting for the playoffs, and the Broncos are not that team, so it didn't really matter from a competitive point of view. But if it was, obviously, Lamar Jackson was out anyway, but at the same time, should that game have really been played?
Is that true, Andrew? Andrew's saying here, did you hear the Broncos wanted to start their, I'm guessing, quarterback coach? but it's rejected by the league as they thought teams might stash players as coaches. I didn't hear that.
Yeah, they're going to start doing that. Yeah, let's not have a coach and let's stash another player. Okay.
Yeah, look, I think personally that the Niners have been pretty hard done by in all this, and the Broncos certainly. I mean, man, if you bring a
but the
wide receiver up from your practice squad and the NFL's like, well, bad luck, next man up, you just have to do it. And yet the Ravens get their game pushed back twice. It got pushed back. It sort of doesn't feel exactly fair.
So you're talking about with the Denver Broncos in the quarterback room, correct?
Yeah,
but
they got to be punished.
But isn't there a difference between I don't exactly know how these whole things work, because people go on COVID lists and then 2 days later they're off, or 3 days later they're off.
Yeah.
Now, is that because they were in the vicinity of someone that had it?
I think so.
Or they suspected had it, or the test comes back, false negative, or whatever.
Yep. And there's this weird thing with the NFLPA.
But they seem to be only out for like a week, if that, and then they're back.
Yeah.
Where the rest of society's out for like at least 2.
Oh, yeah.
Well, in this country, they are anyway.
Yes. No, there's this weird thing with the NFLPA that they're not allowed to say, for privacy legislation, when someone has tested positive, which is kind of BS, because it's like, well, big deal. It's not like you've got syphilis. You've got COVID. Why can't they just say, oh, he's got COVID?
Yeah.
And yet they're going out, but they're not allowed to say whether they're close contact or they've got COVID. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, Matt's putting out here. The Broncos was a compliance issue. Yes, you're right.
And Vic Fangio he came out and said, that those guys let the team down because they didn't follow protocol. Whereas I think because
they weren't wearing masks
in the same room. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is where some of the responsibility also comes on. Like, mate, these are multi-billion dollar. Each year the teams are worth $1 billion. What you can't work out, okay, if we're going to have everybody in the same room, how do we do this?
Right.
Mate, you go down the local 7-Eleven, or you go to the shopping center, and they've already put up petitions everywhere.
Yeah.
Mate, and that's just, they don't have the money. Oh, they do, Coles and that. But do you understand the fact you could have 4 guys in a room, 5 guys in a room, and they're all sitting in little cubicles made of Perspex, having no contact, yet they're all in the room and they're all seeing the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but then again, you go and put a fucking mask on, dickhead. Like, how hard is it?
It's kind of crazy. Yeah, Ganley's put it here at 3,100 dead yesterday. It's kind of mad that you have to plead. Anyway, we're going down a road.
Yeah, I was going to say, mate,
plead with people to wear masks.
With the amount that they've got going in the US at the moment, the amount of footballers, I'm surprised if there's not more guys walking around at the moment with.
Well, we're lucky that we've got this far through the season with. This has been the worst week. We're lucky we've gone this far through the season, to be honest.
Yes.
Aren't we?
Yeah.
And we might actually get through the fantasy season relatively fine.
I did notice, so in one league that I played, that a lot of people playing, is that I went to pick up a player that played on Wednesday and he was unavailable. I had to put in a waiver claim. Yet he hadn't played yet.
Oh, he hadn't played yet.
No.
Oh, that's
and
not
that
right.
would be. Oh, I didn't go and get him in the end. I just thought, oh, well, if I lose, I lose. And
RG3.
I was going to call that Nick Boyle because
Mark Andrews
was out.
But Nick Boyle was out too, wasn't he?
I have no idea. I just went in there to see if I could go and grab somebody for that game, and it said, no, got to put it in a waiver claim. Well, that's a mistake.
That is a mistake.
Yes.
But I didn't think they had a tight end on their roster on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Now Thursday. I don't think they had a tight end.
the best way I've seen this dealt with, I think, in a couple of leagues that I go, and I think actually, good friend of your guys as well, Kyle, runs it. And it's like, basically, if you know that the game...
Acquaintance.
Special friends, I've heard, G. But,
special friend.
So...
Like Valentino Rossi's special friend.
If they knew the game was going to be off, basically, prior to Sunday's game, you could name a replacement player prior to the Sunday game, so that then if that game didn't go ahead or whatever, that player would then be put into your lineup by the commission. I thought that was the best way to handle that situation from a fantasy point of view.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed that we don't have in fantasy. We don't have that many more weeks to go.
Fingers crossed, mate. The way things are over there, mate, we'll still be doing this next year.
It's not. Yeah. I know it's not getting better, but we only have to get through 4 more weeks. 13. This is the last week of the regular season for most leagues. 14, 15, 16. 4 weeks.
You have to win too, Ganley, in our original startup league, or you're out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Ben's breathing down his neck.
Is that the league where I'm on top? Gee, I think it is.
I reckon it's the only league that I've ever been in that I've lost 2 weeks in a row. I'm still 8-3, but I've lost 2 weeks in a row, and I've actually moved up a spot.
That's funny.
That's unbelievable.
That happens sometimes. When you lose and you look and you think, "Hang on, what?"
Yeah, but I'm scoring really well.
Yeah, that's right.
I lost, but got beaten by the guy with the highest points, and I was the second highest. So
yeah,
go figure. But anyway,
yes. Topic.
Our topic tonight, because it's the 13th week, and this is really put together with a lot of sticky tape.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's Friday, so but Friday the 13th, we're going to just talk about a few guys that we nominate. That's Friday the 13th for people is basically bad luck, but it's not all. Some people believe that Friday the 13th is actually good luck, depending on what alternate universe you live in. But just we thought we'd put together some players that had some bad luck this season for any reason. Doesn't matter what it's for. You could have been Joe Burrow. You could have been, I don't know.
Don't give them all away.
You could have been DeAndre Swift. You could have won and you dropped the ball in the end zone with no pressure. It doesn't matter what it is, but just unlucky players this year. So we're going to give.
Thanks, G. You just took both of mine.
Oh. So, and we're going to do one lucky play just to balance it out for the people that Friday the 13th has been proven to be lucky for them. So I thought 1 and then 3 other plays makes, again, 13. Again, loosely stuck together with some really cheap-ass masking tape. And that's the theme for tonight. So
that's a good one.
Yeah,
Andrew,
so I've seen AJ's done no homework.
I've got one player.
You've got one player?
Yeah, I've got one. So maybe
do you want to pump out your
space
one
me
player?
out?
And then there's 3 taken from Ben straight away.
Oh, do you want me to do mine straight away?
Yeah, just knock it out of the park, mate. Because
Okay.
you're going to need to.
All right. I will knock it out of the park.
Okay.
I reckon it's a good one.
And is it unlucky?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unlucky. I said Justin Herbert.
Oh, I've got him as well, G. No, I've got him. But you go.
Because the Chargers are 2-10. Now, Justin Herbert's numbers 66.9% completion percentage, 3,015 yards, 23 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 185 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. The Chargers have lost 8 games by 8 points or less. They actually have this thing that I discovered at Pro Football Reference called the Rivers Index. Did you see this, Ben?
I've seen it, yeah.
The Rivers Index, it's nothing to do with Philip Rivers. I don't know why. I guess a scientist or statistician or something called Rivers. This thing called the Rivers Index, which matches up based on quarterback stats, how many games they should have won. And Justin Herbert, according to this Rivers Index, should have won at least another 4 games based on his stats. So that would take them to.
But how's it unlucky, mate?
6 and
he's just adding value
6 and
to
6,
his next contract all the time.
Oh, sure, but I'm saying the Chargers are unlucky. You know what? It's funny. I
So you
don't
should have
mind.
you should have said the Chargers were unlucky. And yes, David, you are correct about the Knights Templar that's why Friday the 13th. And that's where you find the Freemasons sort of took off a bit more after that. And a lot of the Knights Templars probably went into the Freemasons. But there you go. So
What?
Just what David put down there.
A history lesson
about Friday the 13th because of the massacre of the Knights Templar.
You
Yes.
are a student of history, though, G.
Yes.
You are.
But AJ, the couple of things I wanted to just, because obviously Herbert's one of mine as well.
Yeah.
And a couple of things that I wanted to add to that was the Chargers are 2-10, did you say?
Yeah.
He's 2-7 as a starter. And the games that he's been the starter, they've lost by 3 points, 5 points, 7 points, 3 points, 1 point, 5 point, and 7 points. And in those games, he's thrown for at least 1 TD in every game. And in 5 of those games, he's thrown for at least 2 TDs. And he's got 2 of those games where he's thrown for 3 TDs. And each of those games, he only got the ball back once with an opportunity to turn the score around. So I think that's the unlucky point, is that he did everything he could in those games to pretty much get the Chargers into a winning position. And
so you're saying that the Chargers are the Cowboys?
Well, I'm saying that Anthony Lynn is probably Jason Garrett. That's probably what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. It's more coach. Okay.
And, it might sound weird for me to say I'm not really upset by it. I'm wrapped, obviously. Every Charger fan is absolutely ecstatic over Justin Herbert. And you know what? If you're going to lose, so there's only 2 real possibilities. You're going to the playoffs to contend, right? Not to just be there for the numbers. You're going to contend, or you're losing, right? There's only going to be one winner in the season. So listen, 2-10, I don't give a shit. They can go 2-14. That's perfectly fine with me, and give us a high draft pick, and next year we can give it a crack. But, if you're going to lose, you might as well get a good draft pick out of it. It's just, they're playing their hearts out at the moment, and we need a new coach as well.
Well, I mean, that's the case. And I mean, at the minute, there doesn't seem to be any sign of him moving along, which is a bit worrying. But I mean, it was funny when you told me this topic. I'd watched the Chargers game literally like a couple of hours before. And for something else, I'd already made these notes, which were really, I was almost sat in the bath at the time. Nice picture for you there, G, on a Friday night.
Loving it.
Like angry, and I'm not even a Chargers fan, right? Just angry at what I saw in the game, because twice in the first half, Anthony Lynn made stupid timeout decisions that you would like. It's not even a rookie coach error. It was just downright stupid. I think they had 4 4th and 1s, and they literally ran the same play, just a handoff down the middle. And like, I know the Buffalo defense haven't been, anything special this year, but I mean, Harrison Phillips, Ed Oliver in the middle of that defense, that's probably the strongest point, and they got nowhere. Yeah. And then with 20 seconds left in the game, trailing by 10, he gives a running back carry with no timeouts left on inside the 10-yard line. It was just absolutely like, I just couldn't believe it. Like if you're a Chargers fan, or if you're somebody, even the Chargers, owners, surely you pull him into the office and say, what were you thinking?
Oh, I've given up being upset about it, Ben.
Well,
I don't care. With this record, I don't care. I'm watching Herbert, and I'm just kind of watching and looking at the potential. And if they lose, I'm just like, meh, that's fine. Which I know maybe is not really quite the right attitude, but like, honestly, give me a high draft pick.
Yeah,
I'm cool with that. That's totally fine.
You take the Falcons that keep winning.
Anyway, that was my guy, and Ben had Herbert as well.
So who else did you have? Ben, who else?
Well, I stayed with the theme here with the Chargers, and my second guy is Tyrod Taylor. I mean, how unlucky can this guy be? He's been probably the team's start, like 10 teams is starting quarterback in preseason over the last 5 years. With anybody who watched Hard Knocks, you got a pretty strong from the off. This guy's our guy. Like, he's going to start. Andy Lynn was, anytime it was mentioned, Justin Herbert was never going to see the field this year. It was Tyrod Taylor's team. He starts off with a pretty ugly win against the Bengals, but it was a win nonetheless. So he's 1-0. And then just before the week 2 game, he's having a few heart palpitations, I think it was. He's feeling a bit like, the Bengals were pretty scary last week, and now sat in my in hotel room, I've got to face the Chiefs. I'm like, whoa, I'm pretty scared here. So heart palpitations come. So the team doctor comes in and goes, no worries, we'll give you a little something to calm you down, a bit of a pain-killing injection in the ribs. Goes straight through the ribs, punctures his lung, and he's in hospital a few hours later.
He tripped on the rug, I think.
Mate, he's gone the John Travolta in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Just
boom. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, 4 weeks later, when he's finally recovered, he sort of goes, right, let's go back to training. And the first question he's asked at training camp by reporters is, do you think Justin Herbert will be the rookie of the year? Which I thought was, how unlucky would the guy be after having to answer all those questions in preseason to then go to that. So, I mean, I think we all know what Tyrod Taylor is and what his level of play is, but man, that I feel for that guy. I really do.
Yeah, no, that's a fair call.
You're about the only one, because I don't think there's any Chargers fans that feel for him at the moment after what they've seen out of Herbert. So,
no, and I think that the whole poker face from Anthony Lynn and the organization pre-draft, where they were like, Tyrod's our starting quarterback.
Okay, we've had enough.
Was just rubbish.
Enough.
Enough Chargers talk. All right.
Talk.
Okay, then we'll move on.
Okay, let's move on to another great spectacle. And my unlucky is every player in the Jets lineup for having to put up with 2 years of Adam Gase. Now, let's not blame Adam. He's looking for a job like everybody else. So the man to blame probably is Christopher Johnson, the Jets chairman, who hired Gase.
He's in Europe, isn't he?
He's the ambassador.
Woody Johnson.
Yeah. So he's the one. He actually came out. I think it was after the first week loss, and says, "I see brilliance in Gase." Well, that's improved, hasn't it, over the season? But but this is who they had. This is who they had in the building before they hired Adam Gase. They had Cliff Kingsbury in for an interview, and look what he's gone on to do with the Arizona Cardinals. I still, mate, look. He's turned them around a little bit, okay? They had Matt Rule, the former Baylor head coach, and now obviously at the Carolina Panthers. So he was in, but the Jets reportedly had concerns about his staff because the staff that he wanted to bring with him.
Okay,
yeah, that worked out really well. So he stayed at Baylor in 2019, then got the job at Carolina, and just to rub salt into the wound, he went and then took Robbie Anderson with him. And Robbie Anderson actually wanted to stay as a Jet, but they wouldn't give him the money.
Okay.
And now they're probably thinking that wasn't
the wisest of
decisions after. Yep. But then again, would you get the same usage out of him from Adam Gase as you had out of Matt Rule?
No.
Probably not.
No.
And the team there. They also had Mike McCarthy in the building as well.
Yeah.
Mate, no, I didn't. That's all I'm saying. I'm
Okay.
not going to talk about Mike McCarthy, but they had him in the building. And And they also passed on Chief OC Eric Bellamy.
Bieniemy, I think it is.
The enemy.
Bieniemy?
The enemy.
Mate,
Eric
look,
the enemy.
Mate, and look at the job that he's doing. Okay, it's not he's the OC and they have the quarterback that they do, but he could have worked really well with Sam Darnold.
Yes.
A lot better than Adam Gase would have done. So there's another. And look, mate, they're gonna go out and probably get Trevor Lawrence. And what's he gonna walk into? Well, at least he's not gonna walk into Adam Gase.
I mean,
so that's a positive.
Mike McCarthy is vanilla, but you'd prefer vanilla over whatever shit flavor bloody Adam Gase is, wouldn't you?
He's that flavor, those jelly beans you get that you don't know what you get. It's going to get like the taste of spew, or it's going to be the taste of lemon tart. And I guarantee you always pull out the spew one.
Oh, yeah.
So
did you see the? I think I can't remember which podcast I heard it on, but it might have been around the NFL actually. But did you see Gase trying to get out of a lie to the reporter after the game when the reporter had apparently heard that he'd handed over play calling duties like 2 weeks ago, which he said, yeah, he had done. And then they questioned him about a play in the red zone where, you know, it was third down and they chose to do some kind of weird end around to Jamison Crowder, which didn't work and failed miserably. And there was a visual of the OC on the sideline, visibly upset with the play and shaking his head and all this kind of stuff. And it turns out that they asked him about it and said, "Oh, he's a play caller, right?" Like Gase asked, and Gase said, "Yeah, he's taken over play calling duties." And he was like, "Well, why was he so upset and shaking his head with you at that time?" And he was like, "Oh well, inside the 10-yard line, I do have a few packages I tell him to run." and he was like, "So is that one of the packages?" And he was like, "What was the play again?" and he was like, "Oh well, no."
We're talking to Sean McVay, who can rattle off what he was doing like 5 years ago.
It was bad. It was like he put himself into a hole and then came out. But actually, one of the players I did consider was Frank Gore, because I think, you know, he everywhere he's been, you know, he's been a professional. He's been, you know, a guy who has given a lot to the locker room as well. You know, he's worth his probably league minimum that he's getting just for that. But
mate, his league minimum should be his weight in gold. Mate, every time he grabs the ball, he runs with 100% commitment.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like he's unlucky, because if this is his last year in the NFL, he's going to be remembered for, you know, this year under Gase, where and you know, you can imagine the after dinner speeches that he's going to be doing in the future at all these, you know, different teams that he's been involved with. The first question is going to be, how bad was it with Adam Gase? Like, you know, and he's going to have to be a professional guy for the rest of his life and probably not talk about that.
He might not. He might turn around. It was a shit fight. It was just terrible. Yeah. What's the saying? It was something inside a dumpster fire inside a. I don't know exactly how it goes. You got another play, Ben?
Well, I kind of cheated a little bit on this one because I didn't go player. I went personnel.
That's fine. I went the whole Jet squad. Or, you know, 53 rostered guys. Yeah.
So my unlucky guy here is none other than the Dolphins GM, Chris Grier, because he was laughing his head off earlier on in the season because he made a trade last year with the Houston Texans, and that was for multiple first-round picks. He came his way, so next year they have the Texans first-round pick, and he's going. Probably at the time he's thinking, look, Texans got to the playoffs the year before. It's probably going to be a back-end first-round pick. And that's fine. At least it gives us multiple picks. We're rebuilding. Blah 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 blah. Then he starts watching Bill O'Brien coach this season, and he's like, that first round pick is going to turn into gold. And, at one point when the Texans started like they started, and they lost all those games, the pick, he was currently going to have the number 3 pick after week 7, because that was the pick the Texans traded to them. Then his worst nightmare happened. They fired Bill O'Brien and actually got a coach who could at least run a play and call something that was not trash. And to that point, from that point, they beat the Jaguars. They beat the Jaguars twice. They beat the Patriots. They beat the Lions. And that pick is now number 12. How unlucky can you be? Like, why are they firing Bill O'Brien?
Yes.
So, I thought, he was probably pretty upset with that personnel change. And I don't think he'll be doing any trading anytime soon with them again.
Unless Bill Bryan rocks up on another team.
True.
Yes.
Now,
I apologize. I did neglect this bit of news, but the week has been very protracted with this game. But of course, we did see this week the exit of Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia. And it was something that we discuss
do we have
last
to discuss
week?
The Lions, mate? Because it's just like, do you expect any different from the Lions of what they've been over the past? I don't know. I'm not a Lions fan, but at least as long as I've been watching it,
it can only be better, can't it?
Well, since Megatron left, it's been all downhill.
Yeah, but this can only be better for them, can't it? Matt Patricia apparently not very popular.
One of our 12 questions, AJ, last week.
Yes, it was.
Who needed a new home more? Matt Patricia or Matt Stafford? Well, clearly now Matt Patricia will take any home he can get because he hasn't got one. So
no, that's right.
Yeah.
Ironic that we discussed that last week, and that news dropped during the week. So, and G, you would know that if you'd listened to our pod, but I'm sure you didn't.
No. I had better things to do last Friday.
Harsh.
Okay. All right. Can I put my next? We've got
Yes.
right out an hour. So my next guy is for all you fantasy owners that went out and drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Mate, things were looking great until Le'Veon Bell rocks up. And then the bottom, outside of one game, the bottom's pretty much dropped out of Clyde Edwards-Helaire in fantasy. Carries before Le'Veon Bell turned up 25, 10, 20, 16, 10, 26. He gave you 95.2 fantasy points in the first 6 games. After Bell, his carries have gone 8, 6, 5, 14, 11 that haven't been too bad the last 2 weeks. But his fantasy points have gone from 95.2 to 57.4. Okay. And granted, one of those games was a 20-point fantasy game where he scored 2 touchdowns. So take that out, but you can't.
No, you can't.
You can't take it out. You can't take it out. Okay. Receiving targets, he had 31 before Bell turned up. Since then, in basically the same amount of games, one less, he's only had 15.
Ooh.
So just for argument's sake.
Okay.
Right. At the moment, he's ranked running back 12. Now, if he had been on the same trajectory that he was on prior to Le'Veon Bell, he would now be the number 5 ranked running back.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Wow.
The top 5 order would be Kamara, Cook, Henry, Robinson, and then CEH.
Wow. Kamara's seeing a bit of a
and
dip
really
currently.
Bell has just been like a breather. He looked okay last week actually, but as far as fantasy goes, he's totally irrelevant at the moment. Like, you're not going to play. He gets a touchdown 1 week ago, but who started him?
No, he'd be a tough
So
for
for
start.
fantasy owners, he is my bad luck story for people like me that own a bit of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But next year, second year guys with in Andy Reid's system, gold.
How do we feel about Lev Bell at the end of the season parading his Super Bowl ring with probably a rap album to go with it? Like, after all the shenanigans that he's pulled over the last few years, holding out the Steelers and, taking that contract when he should have taken a better contract and, and basically not doing anything for the Jets, not showing any interest. Like, man, I that leaves a bitter taste in my mouth if he's rocking.
He's showing as much interest in the Jets as Adam Gase is. So,
well, I don't think that's a fair. Oh no, 90% of that is fair, but I think Adam Gase was the problem there more than Lev Bell.
Okay.
There's a
Move
live trade offer. Aussie Guys 4.
Yep. Which is Aussie Guys 4? Which one's that one?
That's the Villains one, isn't it?
I have absolutely no idea, mate. You're the one who's making up these.
The Villains one. It's the Villains. Trade CEH for Mixon. I don't know which side is which. Do you have CEH?
I've got both of them. I got a lot of Mixon. So, yeah. Throw something in and talk to me, Matt. Okay, got anybody else, Ben? I've got another one. If you've got nobody.
No, I'm done. That was okay. my three.
I've got another guy that I think everybody thought this year was going to be his year. After what he did last year, he was a number. What was he last year? He was the number 18 wide receiver at the end of 2019. Ended the season with 1,107 yards and 6 TDs. So it was his semi-breakout. And everybody thought, here we go. He's third year in the league. This is going to be it. And then the team goes and drafts CD Lamb. And that's Michael Gallup, who's been seriously affected by the fact that CD Lamb's there. And it's not the fact that they went out and got a wide receiver. It's a fact they went out and they drafted the quality receiver of CD Lamb and the position that he plays.
And he popped right away.
Yeah, and he plays in the slot. Like,
yep.
Gallup can be a slot guy. He can play out wide. He fills a lot of roles. And I really thought, based on what we saw last year, that I've held on to him since he was a rookie. I thought, mate, I'm not going to get rid of him. I'm not going to trade him away. I'm going to hold on to him. And then CD Lamb has come and screwed it up. So last year he finished it at number 18, as I said. At the moment, he ranks the 52nd wide receiver. So he's gone from his 1,107 yards on 113 targets and 6 TDs in 14 games. And 11 games this year, he's only had 68 targets with only 583 yards and 1 TD. Now, that's not all purely based on the fact that CD Lamb's there because his quarterback room since Dak left. But he did have 5 games with Dak and things. It was a little bit better, but it's not like there was a dramatic drop-off with the fact that Dak's injury. It's just the fact, I think, that CD Lamb is the player that he is.
Yeah, I feel like Gallup's a bit of a cheap buy, actually, G.
Mate, well, the only thing that Gallup might have going for him is how long is Amari Cooper going to stay there? Well,
right, exactly.
So,
exactly.
Who knows? But with the way Amari Cooper's playing, it's not like the Cowboys want to go and get rid of someone like him at the moment, is it?
No.
I think that's a good pick as well, G, because look at coaching change as well there, but same offensive coordinator. So what's that dynamic? Is he there going, is it the head coach who doesn't believe in me because I'm not getting, the targets that I got under the last head coach because it's still the same OC? That's an interesting one for me. Is it, because even when Dak was on the field, he wasn't seeing it either, right? So I feel like that dynamics are kind of interesting from the player point of view, and he's probably thinking, what have I done wrong? Probably. But I feel very similar about Michael Gallup as I do with Ronald Jones, guy who had shown a bit last year and was probably on the upward trajectory. And, you know, he kind of knew that he had it. Maybe they'd bring in another running back. But when they drafted Keyshawn Vaughn, he was probably like, all right, fair enough. It's going to be me and him, blah, blah, blah. And then obviously Fournette comes in and he's like, what's this all about? And he then knocks off those couple of really good games where he topped 100 yards back to back. And then he fumbles, I think, once, and he's hardly been seen since. He had a decent game last week, but
it's the Love and Rodgers scenario. They bring these guys in just to bit of competition, piss you off. That's the way I'm looking at it. It's probably not right, but
funnily enough, G, I did have one in my back pocket for you.
Yeah.
The unluckiest guy in 2020
me having to work with AJ
is the only first-round pick who has yet to see the field despite being active for most of the year.
Oh, who's that?
Jordan Love.
Love have to be,
of course.
Mate, he's not going to see the field for a couple of years.
Every other first-round pick is at least the only one that has come close was the Titans offensive tackle Isaiah Wilson, who not only tested positive for COVID early and had a few issues, but he also got a DUI. But he has come back and played. Whereas Jordan Love has yet to play at all.
So we're keeping AJ up here, Ben.
Yeah.
All right, now I'll give you my lucky guy. Now, this guy started off being lucky, and then it turned to being unlucky, and now it swung all the way around to being lucky again, and that is Dak Prescott. So we saw how he started the season, and every week he played, he was just adding another digit onto his already increasing contract negotiations. So, mate, up until the time he got injured, he already had 1,856 yards and 9 TDs.
He was on record
So that was games of 266, 450, 472 yards, 502 with 4 TDs, right?
Yep.
Now, granted, I think if you look at it, I think he only maybe won one game out of the first 4. He got injured in the 5th game of the season, so I'm not going to put that loss on him. But I think people will turn around and say, well, mate, didn't really help the Cowboys. But for Christ's sake, I can't play defense as well. The defense is horrid. He's putting up 38 points a game, 37 points, 35. Mate, if you guys can't stop people from scoring 39 and 40, mate, I can't do any more than I'm throwing for, I'm taking this ball up and down the field 5 times. Can you just stop them once and we might win? So you can't put that on. So then he goes and he's playing on his first franchise tag of what is it? $31.409 million. So I don't feel that sorry for him, but it's not, so he breaks the ankle. And it's like, oh, geez, that's not good. And then he sits back on the couch and just watches the absolute shitstorm of quarterbacks that have been throwing the ball in Dallas.
Ben DiNucci.
Garrett Gilbert, Andy Dalton. Yeah, everybody thought, there's not going to be much. There were people saying that there won't be much drop-off from Andy Dalton than there was from Dak Prescott.
Right.
How wrong can you be?
Yep.
So all of a sudden he's making more money sitting with a broken ankle on the couch than he probably would be doing playing, because now they see why they need him and what they could do next year. They could you're either going to sign him to a contract, and you say, okay, if they put him on a second franchise tag, he will go up to $37.7 million.
Wow.
So he's getting close to Patty Mahomes money. I think Patty Mahomes is on about, is it 42 million a year with the new contract? So that they might do that. But at the moment, he's gone from being lucky to unlucky back into being lucky because of the state of the Cowboys at the moment. And now Jerry Jones has got a big decision to make.
I'm a little bit. You're giving Dak a bit of too much credit here because.
What way?
Well, and let me quote one of my favorite films, Jerry Maguire, when our man Cuba Gooding Jr., who obviously plays Rod Tidwell, the wide receiver in the movie, who does the famous "Show Me the Money" stuff. His famous quote is that he's an athlete, not an entertainer. Yeah, and he doesn't dance and he doesn't start preseason without a contract. And what Dak should have done was exactly that. He should have not started at all playing with the Cowboys without his renegotiation, particularly when he sees money being flashed to Amari Cooper.
Your quarterback, you're talking about, look at your quarterback. He did exactly the same thing and it worked out for him. He goes, okay, I'm going to back myself for 12 months and one season. I play a position that's probably least prone to getting hurt. And he goes, mate, if I can put up this, mate, if he had kept going the way he was going, he was going to get every cent. Jerry Jones is smart. He's a good businessman. He knows what he's doing. But he could have got every cent that he wanted. But, mate, accidents happen. But sometimes you just got to back yourself.
I think to call him lucky, I think is a little bit too generous.
Mate, he's lucky because he's sitting on the couch with a broken ankle and watching the state of the quarterback room in Dallas. And what are they going to do? They're going to go out and get another quarterback in this draft? Probably not, because they know what they have. But he threw for like over 4,500 yards last season.
Yeah, but you can't. Look at what happened last year. A wide receiver was the last thing they needed, and Jerry Jones could not help himself. He went and got CeeDee Lamb, and that could happen again, right? That's more likely to happen than not.
What are you going to go and grab a quarterback?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if Jerry Jones goes and grabs a quarterback in the position that the Cowboys are in and the wins, mate, he's either going to have to sell the house to go up and get one of the top guys, or he's going to be in the ground before the Cowboys make it back to the Super Bowl. At least if he goes and signs Dak Prescott, he's got more of a chance of a player that he knows and can get the job done than a rookie that he has no idea of what he's going to get.
What's he needing to sell here, G? Like, let's look at the draft order. Jets, 1. Jaguars, 2. Yeah, those 2 need quarterbacks. Fair enough.
Yep.
3, Bengals. Don't need one.
Yep.
4, Chargers. Don't need one. Number 5, the Cowboys. So you're telling me that the only.
Well, I haven't looked at the quarterbacks, but at the moment there's a few coming out. But mate, do you not want? Well, Trevor Lawrence is obviously the guy.
Yeah.
So you're going to go, okay, I'm going to go and take the 3rd quarterback in this year's draft and put the franchise hopes in the fact that hopefully we pick the right. And let's face it, man, they didn't want Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
They fell into Dak Prescott. Okay. So they wanted, what's his name? Paxton Lynch.
Yeah.
They will, mate. So mate, if that's your choice of the quarterback you really wanted, maybe you should stick with the quarterback that you're lucky to fall into.
But I think we're disregarding maybe, particularly Joe Douglas at the Jets, who knows how much they need and did a great job with their draft last year, I thought. But he knows, maybe if he knows that Trevor Lawrence, he's not interested.
He's building up a roster that he might never ever get back to where he wants to get it to.
True. But if he knows that, Trevor Lawrence has got no desire to play for the Jets, then we could get a situation where he either picks him and then trades him, or he could make a trade with the Cowboys for 1 and take their picks over the next couple of years because the Cowboys really, look at their offense.
So
right?
what the Cowboys do, the Cowboys sign him to the franchise tag and then trade him because that's the only way. Because otherwise, he's a free agent.
What you mean, Dak?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
well,
you sign him.
Yeah,
on his.
and you've got a tradable asset that you could move probably for a first. So you get a first round pick back next year, and you've got a young quarterback on a 5-year contract or whatever.
But you don't. This is the whole point. This is the whole point. You don't know what you have. You've got a quarterback that who put up 1,856 yards in less than 5 games. Right? Let me tell you. I wrote down here, mate. Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield, who played all season, just passed him for yardage just now within the last week. Lamar Jackson didn't play the week before. They've only just gone past. They're like 1,900 yards, 2,000. Mate, Dak is in almost there, and he's played less than half the games. So you want to go and get a rookie and go, please be good, please be good, please. Mate, we've done everything. We reckon this is a guy. Yet you have a guy there that's putting up minimum on average 450, 472, 500. 4 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, 1. Mate, you got a guy who's moving the football. It's because your defense is shit. It's got nothing to do with who's throwing the football. But sometimes you got to pay, mate. You got to pay the piper.
He has had a multiple compound fracture to his ankle, the same injury as Alex Smith. All right, yeah, he probably won't get the infection and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully, and I'm sure he will recover well and all that jazz. But that is a bigger. We don't know what we've got. Particularly when you look at the assets that they've got. They've got Zeke. They've got Amari Cooper. They've got CeeDee Lamb. They are all in. They should be winning now, and there's no guarantee that.
I can tell you right now, Zeke doesn't look like Zeke. Tony Pollard looks better than Zeke. That's my opinion from watching all the games. Is Tony Pollard looks like he's got more chance of busting one off than Zeke does at the moment.
So you're pretty smart if you're Joe Douglas. You go, look, we know Zeke's not Zeke, so you can move up to 1 and take Trevor Lawrence. We'll move down to 5. Give us your pick next year and throw in Zeke Elliott for us, and we're done.
That's not going to happen. The Jets are going to go out and get a quarterback. Mate, they're not going to pass up on Trevor Lawrence.
No.
Mate, they generational guy. Yeah, we'll pass up and give us Zeke and 2 first-round picks. Yeah, no.
Dave, good point from Dave. But I still think that if I'm Dak Prescott sat on the couch with my broken ankle, I am not feeling lucky. I don't think right now, despite the Cowboys situation, I think that he would feel much better being on the field.
Of course he would. Of course. But in the fact that he was unlucky for the injury that happened, and the lucky part is the shit bloody dumpster fire at quarterback in Dallas at the moment. And he's sitting back. Well, there you go, Jerry. That's what you get if you don't want me and you think you can find somebody else, knock yourself out. There's 3 guys have all sucked. Okay, granted, DiNucci, I don't know, he sounds more like a soccer player, playing for Juventus than a football player. But you understand my point. We've had 3 guys out there, and your team's they lost with Dak, and they had no fault, mate. He can't do any more than what he was doing. The defense was giving up, was hemorrhaging points. But the fact that they're still hemorrhaging points, but now they've become blowout losses.
Look, I'm not arguing with the fact that, I agree with you in terms of Dak. He couldn't have done any more. And, I think it's not necessarily about Dak's play, because we've seen what he can do.
It's the money.
It's the money. It's the situation. Because remember, Dak wasn't a first-round pick or a big flashy guy. He was a third-round guy who they basically found value in and run with the starting job when Romo went down. So, if they decide to move on for him and go grab a quarterback, probably the Cowboys will be like, oh, well, yeah, Dak was great, but look at our shiny new generational talent that we've got at quarterback. So
how often do teams fall in to another quarterback? Like, don't say the Colts, because Andrew Luck was, mate, he was the guy. Everybody knew that. It's not like they fell into him. They were lucky enough to go, and Green Bay went and they picked up Aaron Rodgers, okay, but he sat for a long time. They fell into Dak Prescott. And now you're going to go, okay, geez, hopefully we can fall into another one. Mate, and even with Tony Romo, what are the chances of you getting 3 good quarterbacks in a row?
That's a
I'm
fair
just
point.
saying, law of averages, the law of average.
I can't argue with that, but there might be a situation when the camera pans to Jerry Jones on his what's he going to be on next, like his own space station or whatever, where he's doing it from, and
I looked up his plane today, Ben. I looked up his private jet. I'm thinking, is that it?
Yeah.
Like, I expected an A380 or something like that, at least, Jerry. Like,
There's no need.
Mate, he's got a normal, mate. There's plenty of billionaires and millionaires that have jets like yours, Jerry.
It's a nice Lear jet or something.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's costs a lot of fuel to fly an A380.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But there's a high possibility that someone like maybe even a Justin Fields or a Trey Lance and he's been dangled in front of him, and he's, we're not sure about Dak. Let's just look at his face on draft day when that happens, shall we?
Yeah, I don't know. I think what they should do is maybe suck up the 37.7 million and franchise him for another year and just see what happens. Let's just see, and maybe we just got to suck it up for a year. And
that's a fair call.
I'm guessing the Cowboys aren't going to be much better next year. I don't think
they've got to
you don't get any draft picks for defense, do you?
Yeah, I was going to say that they've got to pick a defensive player sometime this century, haven't they? In the first round,
maybe a linebacker
off the ball.
Yeah. So anyway, there we go. That's good. I like a bit of discussion.
I had one last my guy.
2x on fuel.
So
hold on. Sorry. I looked up Jerry Jones's net worth, $8.5 billion. Mate, isn't the Cowboys worth like $8 billion?
That's not like a lot.
They're certainly
valuable. I think.
We could probably just Google it.
They're the most valuable sporting club in the world.
Are they?
Yes.
They're up there. They're in the top 3. I don't know if they are.
I think
Man United's up there.
I think they overtook. I think
Juventus is up there.
No, I think it's Real Madrid.
Real Madrid, yep.
Man U.
Yep.
But I think now the Dallas Cowboys are the most pricey organization in the world.
I think you're right. I think you are right. Yeah.
So they're worth say he gets maybe
that's
it's
his
not
personal wealth.
That's his personal wealth, Dave.
Right.
Bloody.
That's what he's got. That's what he's got in his wallet.
That's what he's
at any particular time.
So go on, Ben. So who's your last guys?
So this is, I think this is one of those where I'm saying he's lucky because he's been pretty average this year, yet he's sat as the running back for, a team that's currently unbeaten and 11-0. And that's James Conner. I feel like, he's been completely underwhelming this year. He's one of those guys, obviously a good kind of feel story with, recovering from cancer and all that kind of stuff, which is great. And, obviously we all root for a guy like that who's come such a long way. But, you look at that Steelers team, loaded on the defense, great offensive line, unbelievable receiving core. They have the second easiest strength of schedule this season in the NFL. And James Conner has been a complete bust from a fantasy running back point of view. His ADP was late first round, early second, and he has returned that with currently sat as the RB19 in Yahoo leagues.
Is that why you're not doing too well in our fantasy leagues, mate? Is because you took him at late first, early second? Is that the reason?
I earned 0 of Conner, so it's not me.
I got him as a rookie, so that's the only time I've ever had him. So
I mean, So, and he's hasn't rushed for more than 50 yards in the last 4 games, despite that offensive line, and he basically now comes up against the Washington defense this week as well. He missed last week's game because of COVID, and it was the first time, which was kind of nice to see, that we saw Anthony McFarland running with the football, which was good to see.
He doesn't take it to the corner very much, does he?
No.
Mate, he hasn't changed. Mate, you can run in a straight line if you want, like straight ahead.
And
if there's
every play,
if there's a hole there, you don't have to keep going to the trying to find the edge. But anyway.
But one guy who did look pretty good was Benny Snell, who sort of, caught a few balls out of the backfield again. Hasn't really had much opportunity because Connor's been the lead guy. But I just think, in any other year, and maybe if the Steelers are 11-0, people would be sort of talking about, well, is James Conner's time up in Pittsburgh?
Yeah. I think he's a bit. I think they like as a fan base, they really like James Conner because of the fact that he's a local. He played at Pitt, and he's still there, and everything he's been through.
Yeah.
So
but yeah,
pretty lucky
there's no sentiment in football, is there? He sort of. But saying that, I did listen to some players talk. I think it was last week. Ex-AFL players talk about players that the club got rid of, and it really hurt the actual club, the playing group. Not that they were the best players, but it's just what they brought in the locker room. That sometimes the people making decisions don't see that as much as what the players feel about certain guys.
Yep.
So they're all things you have to weigh up as well. But like I said, it's a business, and but the Steelers have always been pretty good with that type of thing, haven't they? That sort of family sort of.
Oh
feeling.
yeah, I agree.
You wouldn't put it past them to maybe late first round next year, maybe take a back, maybe.
I think you really, unless running backs are, guys like ETN is coming out next year, and I'd be surprised if they went in the first round next year. I think the running back crop next year is pretty blah. From what from discussions I've had with some people, it's pretty blah. I hadn't looked at it. Don't worry, people. I will find some bargains for you.
Well, I believe there's 2 or 3 really good ones.
Yeah, and then after that, there's not much.
Yep.
So
okay. I
was just having a look. So they are worth. How much are they worth? The $5.5 billion for the Cowboys, and he paid $150 million in 1989.
Yep.
Mate, how much has he made a year off the Cowboys on average?
That's pretty good.
So if I'm not right, $1 billion is 1,000 million, correct?
Yes, it is.
That is, mate. That's a good return on your investment. Yeah. That is like buying shares in Amazon, Microsoft, and Tesla. Like all when they were at the bottom.
Yeah,
and now you're flogging them off now.
Yeah, it's pretty good. There's no doubt. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Now, what were you up to? Because I got no idea.
No, that's it.
Wow.
I've done my 3, and I've done my lucky play, which Ben totally disagrees with. But that's okay.
Now there are a few that were posted up here. I'm just scrolling back to see if I can pick them up. Just give me a second.
I feel a lot more comfortable tonight being in the studio with you than just. I'm not very good on the screen.
Oh, it's much better. Isn't
I thought
it?
I'd be.
Yeah.
I reckon I could have been an actor, but now when I put my.
It's much better.
I am missing half naked people coming in and out of the door behind me. That was kind of the reason I was doing these, to be honest.
I could get half naked for you if you want.
Matt says, lucky James Robinson, undrafted free agent, 60% snap share. And unlucky Allen Robinson catching balls from Foles and Trubisky.
And yet he still don't, mate. Another 2 touchdowns last week. He just keeps doing it.
He's still
Mate, Foles,
the
Trubisky,
top 10 quarterback in
and
the
Blake
league.
Bortles.
Top
Don't
10
forget Blake.
quarterback.
Don't forget Blake Bortles.
Top 10 wide receiver in the league, despite all of that.
Man, and I wasn't a big fan a couple of years ago, but he, well,
Trouble is, he's also been pretty much the only guy though in most of those receiving
He
calls.
has.
Sure.
So,
Like I've got some shares in Darnell Mooney. It'd be really good if last week if Trubisky could have actually hit Darnell Mooney every time he was open, he would have had a far better day. Far better day.
Well, gee, you've hit upon the actual crux of the issue.
Mm-hmm. He can't
If
hit
Tru-
him.
yeah, exactly.
It's the touch. It's the touch balls Trubisky has trouble with.
Yes.
He-
So yeah,
There's no shortage of power in his arm. It's just, people talk about Josh Allen being a bit wayward. Jesus, give us a spell.
yeah,
Have watched
yeah.
Trubisky. I don't know how many balls he threw into the ground last week.
yep. Andrew put this up before, and I know he already said we're talking too much Cowboys. He put up Dak as well. Felt for Dak this year. Just
Is that
looking to
him?
see what other ones. Dave said Grant Delpit. I mean, I don't think he even saw the field, did he, Dave? It was training camp that he went down. Mind you, I wasn't really particularly a fan of Grant Delpit. I think you would have been disappointed.
Mate, that's a defensive player.
Yeah, it is a
Mate,
defensive
what
player.
are you doing? Mate, they're like kickers on
Still
the
be
show.
disappointed.
They're like kickers.
You can still be disappointed. This
should-
comment
should
would be
we
weird,
include-
Dave.
should we include the unlucky players of the year? Pretty much every college football player who has hardly
Oh
had
yeah,
a chance to put
That's a
any
good point.
together for their draft. That's
yeah.
that's one.
That's a very fair point. Dave put this up. I did look it up. It's a bit weird. So Baker got on the project during this week for his skim milk lying comment. And I did look it up. I can show it
What's
to
the
you. Hang on.
project? I've had that show on channel 9, 10, 7.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
This was the comment. Hang on. Let me get rid
Probably
of it.
probably a show that doesn't agree with your views. To be honest with you, G.
Oh man, it's just very blur.
Very,
No.
very what?
Blur.
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 Baker Mayfield said there's only two things he hates.
There's a few people on there a bit holier than now.
Oh
but,
yeah,
yeah.
I know. That's very true. More than missed throws, lying and skim milk. And skim milk is just water lying about being milk. What a bizarre comment. That smacks a little bit of like, oh, I've come here to chew gum and what is it? I've come here to kick ass and chew gum.
Said there's only two
Who
things
said that?
he hates more than missed throws.
Yeah. Lying
Yeah.
and skim milk.
Okay.
Skim milk is just lying about being milk.
Okay.
There's water, sorry, just being
Yeah.
like that.
Okay. Well, maybe you should practice some more. Maybe you wouldn't miss so many throws, dude. Mate, he missed some shockers. Like, mate, he thread a few last week, but he misses some. Absolute shockers. Like wide open. Like,
Yep.
He's becoming the who's a running back that couldn't find the hole in his second year after the big first year he had. Come on, help me out. He was at the Browns.
Peyton Hillis.
No. It was the Browns.
Peyton Hillis was at the Browns.
Come on. No, he played in he went back and played in that other league, the summer league this year.
Richardson.
Yes. He's becoming the Richardson of quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So anyway, we should wrap this thing up, mate, because we're going to start defending a few people now.
Burrows, Andrew saying Burrows' comment a few months back. If he was in this year's draft, he wouldn't have been picked.
Yeah, but you could say that because you say that about your comrades from, it doesn't even matter if they play at a different school. You're all back each other up. You're all fighting to get a spot in the NFL. Give him a couple of years and then they'll turn around and go, he's the biggest prick I've ever met.
Yeah.
Like you see, defensive players or offensive players and whatnot. They, after a while, you stop backing each other up.
Yep. The Madden 13, that was Peyton Hillis, wasn't it? The
It
Madden
was.
13
Yep.
cover, yeah, not Trent Richardson.
No, I'm just saying that Trent. I'm saying Baker Mayfield's becoming the Trent Richardson of quarterbacks.
Yep.
Like, okay.
Dave
do
is
that?
chipping in. Baker, no ints in 130 passes.
You're not going to hit it. Mate, he can't hit his own plays. He's not going to hit the opposition. Like, seriously. Come on.
Yeah, Collinsworth had to issue an apology. The story was, I don't know if it's a storm in a teacup exactly. He said he was speaking to some women fans of the NFL or something, and they asked he congratulated them for asking some intelligent questions, something along those lines. And he got in trouble.
Did he? What?
Yeah.
So if I asked a question and someone turned around to me and said, "That's a really intelligent question, Greg," should I be offended by the fact that I'm a male? I'm not saying I don't know what questions are asked, but I'm just saying, do people read a lot into things these days, depending on who you are and gender and
a little bit
class and whatnot?
I'm not portraying it quite the right way. He said something like he was meeting with a group of women, and he said, "Wow, I can't believe they asked some questions. It showed that they sort of understood the game." Something like that, he said.
Okay, well, maybe that's a bit different.
It was sort of like that. Yeah.
Which is pretty rich when you listen to the call for the Juju Smith-Schuster. It's easy for me to say. Touchdown, where he basically, prior to the call, said, "There's no way that the Steelers are going to pass the ball here. They're going to run it straight up the gut here." And then Ben rolls out and finds Juju in the corner for a touchdown. And then, they show the replay. And then his next line is, "Well, if they were going to pass, that's what I think they were going to do."
Hey, mate, you're not bloody Tony Romo. So don't be calling, mate, what's going to happen. Tony Romo's the only guy that does that.
Yeah, he does it amazingly.
Mate, so he should be. He's a quarterback, but he just, even for other teams, he knows, mate, does he get them all right? Well, no, obviously. No. But, mate, the amount of times that he's high, mid-90s, low to mid-90s about what he calls happens.
Yeah. It was, a wee bit condescending by Collinsworth for sure. But in fairness, I think Collinsworth would just be condescending about basically anyone.
Mate, he'd be exactly the same if two Australian guys asked him a question. Oh, I can't believe that.
Wow, I can't believe those guys were able to string a couple of words together.
Yeah. I'll be bloody.
There's actually a guy who does. He does like Chris Collinsworth impressions. AJ, I don't know if you can. I don't know if you'll be able to hear this, or even if we can show it. But he's pretty good. He's called at Joey Molinero on Twitter, and he does a great impression of the Collinsworth slide in. And
I think you've got that up on your screen, have you?
Hang on a second. We can give it a go.
Matt said. Yeah, this is the quote. "Everyone's a fan, in particular the ladies that I meet, I think. They have really specific questions about the game." And I'm like, wow, you're just blown away by how strong the fans are here in this town. It's not that egregious, really.
Yeah, but the fact is, I'm blown away. I'm blown away by the strong fans. In other words, I'm blown away by the fact that these women were able to ask me these
string
questions.
A sentence together.
Yeah, and instead of saying women, he just turned it to fans, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going to put words in Collinsworth's mouth.
No.
But.
All right. I'll give this a go.
The audio will work. Give it a try.
Who's this dude? What are we watching?
Boy, we are in for a treat tonight, aren't we? I mean, just all the ingredients of a perfect Thanksgiving meal. I mean, the turkey is hot. The rolls look fresh. The stuffing is my personal favorite, Al. That looks fantastic. I mean, there are a lot of questions coming in to this year's Thanksgiving, whether or not she was going to make a meal for everybody with the COVID restrictions. But she put a mask on, and she is putting on a show here tonight. There is no doubt about it.
That's not bad.
Are we allowed to play that?
Why not?
I don't know.
Why not? That's not bad. That's not bad.
It's good.
Andrew said, midnight finish. He's still got beer left.
Me too, mate. Me too.
All right. Well, we've been going quite some time here, and we probably should wrap it up.
So I've got
I
my
think.
hand in my pocket and it doesn't look good when I look at the screen. I better take it out. Just keep them where everybody can see him.
You know, you look a little bit like Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah.
Careful.
Just
Touching myself in.
just don't wipe them on the top. Just don't wipe them on the top, mate.
I'm just adjusting. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
right.
Just
Which was a cracker. Did you watch the Borat sequel?
no, I'm pretty. The first one I watched, and the second one's just more of the first one. You know, I
It
sort-
is.
I
Yeah,
sort
yeah,
of,
it
you
kind
know-
of is. And the first one's like comedy gold.
Oh, the first one's fantastic, and the fact that as a the group of people, they have no idea what he's doing. So he's sitting there taking the P155 out of him, and they no idea,
Yeah,
no idea.
that's right. Is OBJ unlucky or not?
Where's Neil? We need Neil for this question.
Is OBJ unlucky or not? No, he's. I want to be derogatory towards the Browns somehow with this comment. Just to upset Dave. Is he unlucky? No, because he had a choice if he wanted to go to the Browns or not, and he still went. So no.
Is unbelievably a Browns head coach going to win the Coach of the Year?
Yeah, well,
My head.
that's
Mate, I can't help it if I'm 52 now, mate, and I've hardly got any grey. Some of us are just more lucky. Sorry, AJ.
The Giuliani thing was a bit weird, though, wasn't it? The drip down the sides of the face.
Yeah.
It's not a
Okay.
good
Let's
look.
not get into politics.
No.
You get me. You get me started. So, all right, come on. Let's
All
wrap
right.
this puppy up.
Okay, we'll wrap it
Come
up.
on.
Okay,
Come on.
Um,
I've got to do this every week. I have to tell you to do this. It's not my job.
I know. Well, listen, I hope you're. Well, listen, I mean, this is the last week of the fantasy regular season, so it's
Yes.
really a case of you're either in the playoffs already, or maybe you're playing for a bye, or you're playing for a spot, or you're well out of contention.
Some of us. Some already have a buy. If in
Ooh.
some leagues.
In some leagues.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's good luck to all of you. Good luck to all of you for week 13. And then we're into the fantasy playoffs and we're almost there. I mean, that's the good news. It's at points I wondered whether we would get through a fantasy season, to be honest. I think a lot of people did.
Yep.
So we're
Even a couple of weeks ago, I thought I still don't know.
Yeah, I know. Oh, with the state of things.
Yeah.
And I know you said you didn't want to talk politics, so we won't. Good night, Dave. Thanks
See you, big fella.
everybody for tuning in.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Matty.
Thanks, Ben, for bringing
Ganley. We got to win this week, Ganley. We better hope Ben loses.
Thanks, Ben, for bringing some actual research. I hardly did any,
You did,
so
yeah, very poor.
you were my savior.
So your form continues.
Yeah, yes, it does. All right. Well, thank you, everybody.
You might be the James Conner of the pod.
Oh,
According to Ben.
yeah. Who's the Benny Snell? Is that Ben? Benny Snell.
No, well, Ben's bringing more than Benny Snell.
Wayne Goldman. You're the Wayne Goldman of the pod.
Benny's almost like a Dalvin Cook.
Dalvin Cook.
No, I think Wayne Goldman's right. Next year, once somebody else comes back, I'll be on the bench.
Thanks, Matt. So wrapping this up, as I always seem to have trouble doing. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Good luck in your fantasy week this week. And on behalf of Ben and G and myself, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.
Yes, you got it right.
I got it right. Yes.
13 weeks.
Thanks, everybody. See you later.